channel. Happy February. I know January has been a crazy month. There was a lot that happened, including the death of icon, just amazing. I don't know, all I can say is icon, Kobe Bryant, who was my childhood crush, like crazy. I told this story in my last video, so I won't go into it, but I think the world was really affected by that. I was definitely affected by it. I still am affected by it. I can't wrap my head around it. I just have to trust and believe that everything happens for a divine purpose. And Kobe, his daughter, everyone involved in the accident, they are, you know, now in the spiritual realm, and they just are not, their purpose has been complete here, and I have to trust that they've moved on to help us from the other side. So yeah, I won't get into that. There was a lot of Aquarius, Uranus being the modern ruler of Aquarius. There's a lot of just crazy Aquarian energy the day that happened. I believe there was a square happening with Uranus and Taurus. And so, you know, the astrology, this is not an astrology video about Kobe's death to explain why it happened, because that's definitely not what I use astrology for. I think there, especially in traditional astrology, there are predictions for when you might pass over and all of those things. That's definitely so far from what my core reason for doing astrology is. I never want to scare anyone. I never want to use it as a tool for fear. I want to use it as a tool for empowerment. So I always, as you can see from my forecast, even if there's like negative energy, I try to spin it to where you can really work with it to make it help you in your life as a tool for growth. So I thought about making a video about the astrology of Kobe, and I was like, you know what does that even help? It doesn't help anyone. It won't empower any of us. So yes, here we are. So hopefully February is a much better month. Another thing about February, it was a 5 universal month, which is all about change, and it's kind of like Aquarius energy or Uranus energy in astrology, where disruption, change, things happening out of the blue. So there was a lot going on in January with a 5 month. We're now in a 6 month. A 6 month is more about family and love and creativity, and maybe it'll be a little bit of healing from us all, because to start 2020 with that sort of thing is just, you know, it's just, it's unmotivating. So I definitely want to motivate you guys, because there are some good things happening in February. I do have my little sorry, there's a light, so okay, you guys can't see it. I make my cheat sheet, and then I'll pull up my wheel. Some of the main let me back up a minute. The main theme that I think for February is communication. Working on our communication. There is energy happening where communication is disrupted, it's not clear, and that's mainly due to Mercury going retrograde this month, and also Mercury being in the sign that it's considered to be in detriment in Pisces, detriment and fall, because it's exalted and it's home in Virgo, and Pisces is opposite Virgo. So we have those two things. Communication is definitely top of mind. So I will start going through the main things that are happening this month based on the planetary movement. Okay, so we start the month out with the sun still being in Aquarius, Aquarius being a fixed air sign. So it's all about, Aquarians are humanitarians. It's all about seeing things on a large scale, having a large vision for how to help people, being communicative, communicating ideas, but it's fixed energy. So it's really being kind of a little bit stubborn with your ideas. So there's a lot of this energy going on as we start the month. On Monday, February 3rd, Mercury is currently in Aquarius. It's in a place that I would say it likes to be, because it's an air sign, and Mercury is about communicating ideas. It's going to move into Pisces on Monday, in its sign of detriment and fall. And what that means in layman's term is it's not so easily expressed there. So Pisces being a sign that's more about creativity and kind of going with the flow. It's a water sign. It's the water sign two fishes swimming in opposite directions. It's a water sign that's actually, the symbol is in the water. So things are not clear. It's almost like going with the flow. And when you're thinking about communication, communication is supposed to be very direct and very, it's how you comprehend, right? So when you have these two energies, it's a little bit at odds. So, I would say one of the things to focus on, instead of focusing on the negative, let's focus on positive, is focus on creative self-expression, whether that's music, dancing, arts, anything that creatively inspires you. Pisces being a very creative sign will be a good time to focus on at this time. Then on Friday, February 7th, we have Venus. Venus, the love planet, love and beauty, has been in Pisces, where it's actually exalted. So it likes being in Pisces. It's actually moving to its sign of detriment in Aries on Friday, February 7th. And I have this natally in my chart. So, you know, I think I turned out okay. So it's nothing to be really afraid of. It's just Venus being the sign of pleasure. It's the ruler of Taurus and Libra. The reason it's in detriment is because Venus rules Libra, and Libra is opposite Aries. So Libra is all about partnership and compromise and beauty and all of these things. And Aries is all about, it's ruled by Mars, and it's all about being assertive and action. It's the war planet. So when Venus is at home in a sign where it's not about compromise, it can be a little conflicting. So one of the things that can happen is disagreements. But I will say that Mars is up here in Sagittarius. It's actually making what's called a trine to Venus and Aries. So I would put more of the action into maybe making money, because Venus is a money sort of thing. So put action into things you can control, or travel or something like that before Mercury goes retrograde, which I'll get to. Expanding your mind in some way. Put your energy into that, because relationships might be a little bit difficult when Venus is in Aries. And then on Sunday, February 9th, we have a full moon. Where's my moon? Here. Okay, my moon was, oh, I have it already in Leo. We have a full moon happening in Leo. And full moons are in opposition. It's when the sun is sitting opposite the moon. And the reason it's so bright is because the sun is actually illuminating the moon. So that's why we see this light being reflected. And I was thinking about this, the sun being the ruler of Leo, it's really about stepping into the spotlight, or things like coming to completion regarding being in the spotlight. Leo is all about leadership and passion. It's a fixed fire sign, meaning it's a fire that's kind of controlled. So think about a flame on a candle. It's burning, but it's still in the same place. It's not spreading across the earth or in any way. It's very directed energy. So the full moon could be about, you know, something coming to completion regarding, because full moons are about completion, finishing something where you're in the limelight or in the spotlight, coming to the forefront and being recognized, or something like that. At the same time, on the same day, the moon is actually making a positive aspect to Mars, because Mars is up here in Sagittarius. So again, that's adding more of like a nice jolt of action, a nice jolt of energy to this moon, making it kind of, you know, illuminating and special. So hopefully it's more of a positive expression of the new moon. And then I know it's February. I'm in pink because it's the month of Valentine's, and I'm not even into Valentine's Day, you guys. Like, I used to in past relationships celebrate that, but my husband and I don't celebrate Valentine's Day. We're not into like forced expressions of love or anything like that. It's more like, you know, every day is Valentine's Day for us. We appreciate each other every day. But for those of you who are interested in Valentine's Day, enjoy it. I hope it's a great thing. I will say that is a holiday weekend. It falls on a Friday this year, which I guess is good, because usually if it falls like during the middle of the week, it's awkward, and you know, you're trying to rush after work to go to dinner or whatever. But it is during President's Day weekend. The thing about Valentine's Day, the moon is in Scorpio, and Scorpio is, again, there's a lot of planets in detriment this month. The moon doesn't do very well in Scorpio because it's exalted. It's not in detriment. It's actually in fall. in Scorpio, because the moon is exalted in Taurus. So when it's in Scorpio, that's like overbearing passions, emotions that are hard to express, feeling frustrated, feeling like you know, things are just feeling kind of overwhelmed with emotions, I would say. And during that same time, the moon is actually opposing, I'm going to move this so you can see, the moon will be here. The moon was actually opposing Uranus, and Uranus is about unexpected change and disruption, and it's very unpredictable energy. So I will say, if you're in a relationship that is kind of rocky, this Valentine's Day, that might be highlighted, and not to scare you, because I think everything is for a purpose. It could be that maybe if you're someone that is really all about being romanced and all that, and maybe your partner doesn't know how to romance you and you're disappointed, and so you feel these overwhelming emotions, and it's deeper, so you start thinking about, like, is this the right relationship for me, because I don't know if this person even knows what my love language is, or something like that. So I would say that that's one of the energies happening on Valentine's Day. There is a positive trine coming from Mercury. Mercury will be in Pisces during that time. So a trine is, it's a positive aspect. So here it's like 3 signs away, Scorpio and Pisces both being water signs. So there is a time, this is an opportunity to talk. So I do think if you do have something that happens on Valentine's Day that's not so great, you'll have the opportunity to talk through it with your partner, to kind of express how you feel. And then there's also the moon is actually sextiling Jupiter in Capricorn at the same time. So your emotions may feel overwhelming, because it's in Scorpio, but also heightened and bigger than life because of the Jupiter. But there is this opportunity to really think spiritually and think, okay, what is it that I want? What do we want for this relationship? And kind of work on it and hopefully improve it in by talking. But again, Mercury is in Pisces, so it's not the best place to express your feelings verbally, but maybe you'll be able to feel them better. So writing or something like that might actually help. Okay. So then on Sunday, February 16th, Mercury goes retrograde. It's not actually moving backwards, but that was for drama. It goes retrograde in Pisces, and I've talked about Mercury retrograde so many times. I think a lot of people that are into astrology already know what Mercury retrograde means. It's when Mercury, the planet of communication, is not moving forward, and it appears to be moving backwards in a retrograde moment. So everything in a retrograde motion. So everything that Mercury rules, communication, travel, technology, all of those things can be kind of misunderstood, or there can be issues with that because it's not moving Mercury is a fast moving planet, so it likes to move fast. So when it's not, it's like, oh, you know, all these things can be in disarray. So, and it's already in Pisces where it's not comfortable being. So I do anticipate this Mercury retrograde to be problematic, not in like just in a very frustrating way, like, oh my God, we can't move forward. Why is this happening? I said this one thing and this person interpreted it as another way. I didn't mean it that way. Like, there's a lot of that going to happen in February. So just buckle down and prepare for it. It's just the way it is. This lasts for about 3 weeks. So it is what it is. We're used to it at this time. Use this time to turn inwards and just be creative and start plotting down ideas for when the planetary energy starts going direct. You can be ahead, and you've had all this time to be inspired, that you're ready to take action, because it is what it is. It's the astrology. One thing to mention, if you are traveling that weekend, because it is a holiday weekend, there might be delays on the way back, especially if you leave like Friday or Thursday, knowing Mercury is going retrograde. On Sunday there might be some issues, so if you're driving, just be safe. Make sure you have enough gas. Make sure you have, you know, your oil change and all that stuff. If you're flying, because Mercury really rules rules travel, but a lot of short distance travel. So just keep in mind, make sure your tires are good. Actually, I'm gonna go get my tires, get some new tires, because I don't want any problems. See, that's how you use it practically. And then if you're flying, just give yourself enough time, all that stuff. Make sure you make a list of things you need, just because travel during Mercury retrograde, just, you know, it's not a good time. It's not fun. And then Mars enters Capricorn. So Mars is gonna move over from Sagittarius, joining all this energy in Capricorn. There's a lot. And like I said, this is happening in my January video. There's a lot going in Capricorn during this time because we have Saturn there, we have Pluto there, we have the South Node there, we have Jupiter there, and then Mars is going to join that. So this is the good thing we have going for us is that Mars is exalted in Capricorn. It likes being there. The bad news is that when it gets close to Saturn and Pluto, that can be more explosive energy and more frustrating energy, more fights and contention, more of Saturn saying, Mars wanting to push ahead and do what it wants, and Saturn saying, sit down, okay, what you doing? Because I'm running the show here. So it's like, it's this very conflicting energy. And then Mars and Pluto, same thing. They both rule Scorpio. So there is going to be a little bit of contention there, I would say. But for the most part, you can use this energy in a positive way to get a lot of things done, keeping in mind that Mercury is retrograde. So it's not about taking action and starting something new. It's more about putting energy, Mars, into something practical, Capricorn, in a creative way, Pisces. So just if you have a business idea that you haven't baked, now's a good time to start like thinking about the idea, putting things down on paper and planning. It's not a time to take action yet because Mercury's retrograde. It's a good time if you are a painter or or an artist to put energy towards that. Anything creative, I would say, do it, but just know that it's not a time for new beginnings. Then on February 20th, the sun is going to move from Aquarius into Pisces, where we'll stay for the next month. And, you know, Aquarius, because every sign is kind of like an evolution of the one before it. If Aquarius is all about being humanitarian from a detached standpoint, because it is a sort of a detached sign, not wanting to get too close, Pisces is actually feeling the humanitarianism, taking action to actually be a healer and help people. So this is more of a time where we can heal as a collective unit, really be compassionate, because Pisces is all about compassion. On the flip side, Pisces can be very things not being clear, being deceived, because of that Neptunian energy, dissolving things, letting things go, or things being dissolved from our lives. So it's almost like this combination of those two energies. So it is going to be definitely a different energy than Aquarius season. But on the 21st, on Friday, Mars makes a trine to Uranus. So Mars is up here in Capricorn, where it likes to be. Uranus is in Taurus. And I have this kind of set for like an Aries chart, since that's the first sign of the zodiac. So the thing about Mars and Uranus, whenever they meet up in some way, whether it's a conjunction, an opposition, a trine, a sextile, a trine in astrology is good energy. It's positive energy. It's things happening that are easy. But Mars and Uranus those two together are explosive. Because Uranus is all about unexpected change and things happening out of the blue, and Mars is about fast moving energy, action, aggression. So when you combine those two, it's things happening out of the blue. So even though it is a positive aspect, it's still expecting stuff to happen that you didn't know was going to happen. So I just want to say something unexpected might happen even before this day, a day or two, or around the date, to keep in mind. Hopefully a positive thing, because it is in two earth signs, Mars being in Capricorn, Uranus being in Taurus. It could be more of like a positive expression where it's like a windfall of some sort, maybe a financial, because Taurus does rule money, maybe with work, because Capricorn is, you know, represents work. So maybe there's like something unexpected change. Maybe it's a change that happens at the workplace and it seems disruptive at first, but in the end it's a positive thing. So that could be a good expression of that. Okay, then on Sunday, February 23rd, there is a new moon in Pisces. I'm gonna move the moon over here to Pisces. And new moons are all about new beginnings, and it's when the moon is dark, you can't see it, and then the days after it grows, it starts waxing, it starts getting larger. So those are a great time to plant seeds. New moons are all about planting seeds of some sort. But remember that Mercury is retrograde and this new moon is in Pisces. So it's not, again, it's not a time for brand new starts. It's not a time to start something completely new. It's almost like putting new energy into something maybe that you've already been working on, just because of that Mercury retrograde energy. Or planting seeds in the background, planting creative seeds that will get you going once the energy starts moving direct again. That same time, moon is conjunct Mercury, so it's sitting right next to Mercury. So again, that's the communication being a little off. It's making a positive aspect to Uranus and Taurus, so that is more maybe new ideas coming out of the blue that are grounded, that can take you far in the future. And then it's also making a sextile to Mars in Capricorn. So it could be a good opportunity to plant creative seeds. But watch for overindulgence that day, because there is a square with Jupiter happening from Venus, because Venus is in Aries here and then Jupiter is up here in Capricorn. So that just Venus and Jupiter square can be overindulgence, overdoing things, being overly optimistic, that sort of energy. And then wrapping up the month, Friday, February 28th, we have Venus in Aries, where it's considered to be in detriment. It's not easily expressed, making a square to Pluto in Capricorn up here. That is being overwhelmed by relationship issues, being overwhelmed in the area of like pleasure in some way. There could be power struggles in love, because Pluto's all about power. So just watch that day for being too aggressive, too assertive, or somebody might try being that way towards you, or you might be feeling overwhelmed by like emotions. Maybe if you're single, feeling like, when is my person going to come? And it's very like, you feel like very overwhelmed by the emotion. Just, it'll pass. Just, you know, just be aware of the energy. Okay, and then I want to say happy new year. I mean, not happy new year. I want to say happy birthday to the leap year babies. It's we actually have a 29th of February this month. So if your birthday does fall this month, you're like 10 years old or something. Happy birthday. And yeah, it should be an exciting month. Now I'm going to go into how some of the main call-outs, I'm going to go over details, but how some of this energy in February will affect each zodiac sign. Okay, so Aries and Aries rising. I said it in the January video, there's a lot going on in your career house with all this energy, all these planets in Capricorn up here. Mars moving into Capricorn is going to give you a lot of energy and drive. Mars is your ruler, and it's moving into your 10th house of career and how you're seen in the world. So it's making you want to take action in that area and really move forward. The thing is, Pisces energy, so when the sun moves into Pisces, Mercury moves into Pisces, where it's not easily expressed. It's in your 12th house of like things being hidden, your subconscious. So it's actually not a good time right now to take actions on things. I would say that energy will be better next month when it's your season, it's your birthday season, or if you're Aries rising, when the sun is actually moving into Aries. because right now it's time for planning for you. It's not a time to just move forward with brand new ideas. So if you are, you're probably going to feel inspired because Mars likes being in Capricorn. It's practical. You're going to feel inspired to take action, but just write all your ideas down. Just write it down. Journaling is perfect for this energy. So I would say put your energy into that. And then next month, we'll talk about that, will be more of the time to really start putting some of those plans into action. The full moon is happening in your 5th house in Leo this month. And so it'll be a time for you to feel like you can have some fun. You can be playful around that time. That full moon's happening on February 8th. You can, if you have children, it's a great time to like spend time with your children. If you're in a relationship, it's a great time to just have fun with your significant other. If you're not in a relationship, it's a great time to date and go out and meet new people. You'll just be feeling fun and inspired during that time. Venus is in your sign, or moving into your sign this month, where it's not easily expressed in Aries, but it will give you more of a charm to your personality. It'll soften you a little bit. So dating is good, and just being playful and being romantic is actually good for you this month. Okay, Taurus and Taurus rising. So you've been going through a lot of changes. You will continue to go through changes over the next year or so. This is a long-term transit, so we'll continuously talk about this with Uranus being in Taurus. You still have a lot of energy really up here in the 9th house, which is all about travel and education and expanding your horizons on a philosophical standpoint. Mars is going to move into Capricorn in that area of your life, and that's going to really energize you to either want to travel and take a trip. It's going to energize you to maybe want to network, get a mentor of some sort. Maybe you want to go back to school. You're really going to feel like, okay, if I've been thinking about this, now's the time to do it. The problem is we do have retrograde Mercury in your 11th house of networking and friends and groups and associations. So it's not actually a good time to reach out to someone. If say you are trying to find a mentor, you might send an email and it might come across not what you meant it to be. So I would say if you are looking to network and things like that, hold off, at least with new people, hold off until maybe next month, because it's not going to be clear communication. It's going to be just things could be misunderstood. It's more of a time for creativity for you, relaxing, maybe, I would say pampering yourself. Venus is in your 12th house, your 12th house being your subconscious, Venus being your ruler. So maybe this is a good time to, you know, psychologically get yourself in a good position, whether it's, you know, seeing a therapist or, you know, going, you know, to the spa to kind of clear your head, or working out more, doing yoga, those sorts of things, putting energy into that creative energy. And then the new moon is actually, or the full moon is actually happening in your 4th house of home. So there might be some sort of spotlight in your home life or your family life, something maybe with your father, since the moon, or actually more, it could be your father, it could be more your mother. The moon does represent the mother, but maybe it's the mother and father, something going on, or there's some sort of celebration, or maybe there's a highlight around them, or maybe there's just simply something happening in your home. Maybe you have a party, Leo being more of a celebratory sign. So there's something regarding the home happening around the full moon. Okay, Gemini, there's a lot of energy and focus this year in your 8th house of transformation. You are going through transformation. You're going through change. You're going through possibly something with your partner and your finances if you're married, or you have shared resources with a business partner or a love partner. But you have a lot of energy happening in your 10th house of career once the sun moves into Pisces and Mercury moves into Pisces. This is a creative energy, Gemini. You do have a lot of great ideas. You are someone that ideas are constantly moving through your head as a mutable sign. Pisces is also a mutable sign, and it's a sign of creativity. So if you're a Gemini or Gemini rising, you probably work in a creative field, or you have, maybe you're a writer, or you do something, so everything you do has a creative spin to it. The problem is with Mercury being retrograde, it's not necessarily clear. So any creative ideas that happen, or if you work in a creative field, just expect there to be delays, expect there to be some issues. Let's say you're an actress or an actor and there's something happening on set, things might break down on set. I mean, just go with the flow. It's just a part of the energy. We're all having to deal with this collectively. yeah, there's just, you know, there's just expect delays in your career. It's not a great time to start a new job or start a new career path by any means. I would say if you can, just hold off. Just because this energy is not great for that. So the full moon is happening in your third house of siblings, short distance travel, communication. And so Mercury doesn't go retrograde until Sunday, February 16th. So if you're going to take a trip, I would say, if anything, if it's like a road trip or something, that's actually a better weekend to do it. Just because, you know, you can have a lot of fun. It is a Leo full moon. There's not really that many bad aspects happening. It's more of like, I feel like this is more of a positive full moon, hopefully. So if you're going to do a trip, I would do it then, not President's Day weekend. Cancer, there's a time happening with you, Cancer and Cancer rising. You've been going through changes for a while now with the North and South Node. North Node being in Cancer, South Node being in Capricorn. You're letting something go in your life, or things have been, you know, being let go. There's a lot happening in your partnership house with all this Capricorn energy. And then Mars is going to move into the 7th house of partnerships for you. And I would say that's not the best place for Mars to be, because it can mean like fighting and contention and disagreements. And because Mercury goes retrograde in Pisces, there's more opportunity for communication. I'm just going to tell you now, if you're married or if you're in a relationship or in a business partnership with someone, slow your roll. Don't just, and you're a sign that's all about feeling your emotions, and sometimes you bottle them up, sometimes they just come out. Don't just watch what you say, because this is not a time to really be expressing things. If it comes out, just know there might be some consequences, because once you say things, words do hurt, and like, you can't take them back. I believe everything happens for a reason. So if there's something you need to communicate and it's bothering you, have to get it out to this person, just do it. But just know there's going to be consequences, because you can't take that. You can't take those words back. There's this full moon happening in Cancer in Leo. It's happening in your 2nd house of finances. The moon is your ruler. So the new moon and full moon periods are very heightened times for you anyway. And with the ruler being in your 2nd house, you can be feeling emotionally connected to money. You might be thinking more about your resources. You might be thinking more about things that you hold dear to yourself. Hopefully it's more of a positive new moon, where you're feeling maybe you want to go out and buy yourself something nice. You've been saving. Cancers are good at saving, and you want to treat yourself to something. I feel like this is a good expression of that full moon energy. Leo and Leo rising. So Leo, you have a full moon happening in your sign. That is happening on February 8th. So that could be a really fun and exciting new moon for you. Full moon for you. Full moons being about completions. Maybe there's some cycle related to yourself happening. Maybe you're ending something, you're really feeling good about yourself, and you're feeling inspired, and you just want to have fun and enjoy life. So hopefully that should be a positive full moon for you. There's changes happening in your career that have been going on, and change happening in your work, specifically with a lot of Capricorn energy happening in your 6th house of work and service and health. I will say watch your health this month. It could have something to do with you and your exercising, or your health, or your body itself, because Mars is moving into the 6th house of your health and your work. So this could manifest either as you feeling really energized to work towards bettering your health or something like that, or it could mean, you know, some issue, because Mars is going to be meeting up with Pluto and Saturn. So just try to get ahead of that if you can. Make sure you're just like, you know, drinking your water, you're taking your vitamins, you're exercising, you're doing everything to make yourself be your best self. There could be some change at work this month out of the blue. Again, I talked about this when I talked about the general energy. Uranus and Mars are meeting up. They're making a trine. Uranus is in your 10th house of career and reputation in the world. So it might be some change that happens in your workplace that feels a little like, because you're a fixed sign, even though it's a fire sign, it's a fixed fire sign. You don't love change so much. But take it with a grain of salt, because we have a lot of energy. So maybe if you do like changing, it's in your chart, but this is a general reading. But for the most part, most Leo dominant people like kind of some sort of routine. just know that the change might be for the better because it is a positive aspect. It's a positive trine happening with Uranus. So yeah, there could be a change happening in your workplace. Virgo rising, there's a lot of energy happening in your 5th house. This is energy this whole year. Your 5th house is all about children. It's about creativity. It's about gambling, taking risks, having fun too. So this is more hopefully of a fun year for you. Uranus is in your 9th house. So it's all about expanding your horizons, expanding your viewpoint, and that energy is going on for all year for sure because Uranus will be there for a while. So maybe you've been putting yourself out there and you have some sort of thing pay off. So the full moon is actually happening in your 12th house. Leo being the sign before yours, it's the 12th house of, you know, your subconscious and just really getting true to yourself, dreams, things like that. So I would say around the full moon on February 8th, you might be feeling like you're dreaming a lot. You have ideas. Maybe you're healing in some way. You do have a lot of energy happening in your 7th house because the sun is going to move there. Mercury is going to move there. Maybe you'll be thinking about partnerships more. Maybe you're thinking about settling down more. Maybe you're dreaming about those sorts of things. And then there's also a lot of energy in your 5th house. The 5th house being about love and romance. So overall, you might just be feeling more, you know, wanting more romantic. Virgo is more of a practical sign, and you're all about like details and being practical. So maybe this is a time for you to more loosen up. I mean, this year is more about you loosening up and going with the flow. So maybe there's more thoughts about like enjoying the simple pleasures of life and really going and living with that. Mercury will be retrograde though. So remember that it won't be a great time to start new relationships because this is the 5th house does rule dating. So if you're thinking of like dating and all that stuff, just know I don't see it being something that will, and I could be wrong, but something like long term, because when you start relationships, sometimes under retrograde circumstances, they might dissolve. And especially with Mercury being in Pisces, which Neptune is the ruler, which is all about being dissolved, the relationship might fizzle out sooner, as soon as it starts. So have your fun. Mars is there, but just know that it might not be a long-lasting sort of thing. Libra rising, a lot has been happening in your home life. This is a trend for the year. Mars is going to move there. I would say this is bringing energy to this area. So if there might be, the negative expression could be an issue with, you know, family members, an issue with parents, issues with people that live with you or tenants. If you own property, there could be some contention there. So just, you know, just watch, especially when Mercury has retrograde. When Mercury goes retrograde, there might be issues. So just watch the home life. Try not to be too aggressive. If you live with a spouse or you live with your children or whoever you live with, just try not to be so overbearing. And if they are being overbearing, just know the energy will pass. Mercury going retrograde is actually happening in your 6th house of work. So there also could be some, you know, some confusion in your workplace, things like technology, printers not working, little annoyances, things like that. And if you have a pet, just if the pet's acting weird, don't. Mercury's retrograde in the house of pets also. So I don't know, maybe your dog or your snake. I don't know what kind of pets you guys people have, but might be issues there. Just go with the flow, roll with it. The full moon is actually happening in your 11th house. So that could be having fun. It's Leo. The full moon is in Leo. It's a fun sign. It's about being creative, having fun, having a good time. It's having your 11th house. So on February 8th, there might be a good time to just have a celebration of some sort. Enjoy yourself out while you're hanging with people and having a little bit more fun, which Libra is all about having fun and enjoying themselves. Venus will be in your 7th house. when it moves into Aries, and that's your house of partnerships and marriage. So hopefully that can bring a little ease if there are issues in the home and you are married or you're living with a partner. Maybe that can help soften the blow, although maybe not that much because Venus is not the strongest in Aries, but it will soften it. It is your ruler, so it'll make things a little bit easier. And then Libra also rules the 7th house, so there could be a little softening to the more harsh energy. So Scorpio and Scorpio rising, this year there's a lot of focus on communication. There's a lot of focus on travel, siblings, networking with people in your neighborhood and your immediate environment. Mars moving there is only going to emphasize that. That happens on February 17th. There's going to be more of an energy put towards communicating something of some sort. It is going to make you probably want to travel more, but just remember that Mercury does go retrograde this month in Pisces, in a sign it's not comfortable in, and it's already, Mercury retrograde is bad for travel. So if you are planning to travel this month, from that time to 3 weeks out, just expect some delays because it's not the best place. Really, when you're dealing with 3rd house energy and Mercury's retrograde, it's just, there's definitely going to be probably issues with travel. The sun is moving to your 6th house, and the 6th house, or the sun is actually moving to your 5th house, and the 5th house is all about fun and being playful and being creative. So you are going to have a lot of new creative ideas during this time. Make sure to write them down. Again, I said in the beginning of the video, it's not a time to start something new, but it's a time to jot down your ideas and put the pen to paper so that you're ready to move forward and act on them after this energy is over. There's a full moon that's going to be happening in your 10th house of work and your reputation in the world. So there might be something that happens in that area regarding, maybe you're getting congratulated for something, or you're in the spotlight, or something maybe happens with your boss or your leader. There might be a change happening this month in that area because I don't know, there is like some change energy, but it might end up being for the positive. So, you don't have anything to fear. Venus is going to be moving into your 6th house when it moves into Aries. So that does make me think, even though Venus isn't that strong in Aries, it does make me think there is some sort of pleasure going on around work. So I would say overall, hopefully this is a positive sort of expression in your work life. Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising, there's a lot happening in regards to your money and your resources going on for the full year. Mars is going to move there. Jupiter is already in your 2nd house of income, and Jupiter is your ruler. So it's already in your finance house, trying to show you how to expand on your finances. Mars is going to want to make you go for even more, earning more, making more. The issue is it's not a time to make a switch or in a job or anything like that, or start something new financially or take on some new financial risk, because Mercury is going to go retrograde this month. Mercury will be in Pisces. Mercury does rule business as well. So if you are thinking of like a new business idea or a new way to make money, it's not the best time to do it, but it's the best time to plan for it and come up with creative ways for how to make the money and really, how you can strike while the iron's hot when the energy kind of changes. And then you have a Leo new moon. It's actually happening in your 9th house. And the 9th house is all about, or sorry, I keep saying new moon. It's a Leo full moon this month happening. Full moons are about completion. So it's all about, travel, the 9th house. It's about spirituality. You're connected to the 9th house. It's about expanding your horizons, education. So if you're going to travel and take a trip, I would say do it around the full moon. The full moon is happening on February 8th. I would not recommend to do it after Mercury goes retrograde, which it will be going retrograde on the weekend of President's Day weekend. So that weekend of Valentine's Day. So I would not recommend traveling during that time. But if you're planning on doing it, that week of the full moon, that's more of an auspicious time to do it. There's a lot of energy going on in your 4th house of home and family when the sun moves into Pisces and Mercury moves into Pisces. So you might be focusing more on getting your home together. So don't start new home projects, but if there's something you didn't finish, yes, this is a time to put energy into finishing a home project, whether or painting or something. Just keeping in mind that you might end up, if you're painting, you might end up hating the color because you're making a decision, unless it's a color that you already loved before Mercury. But if you're going to pick a new color or something and paint your entire home that color, I would not recommend that, because during Mercury retrograde, you're not thinking clearly, and it's in Pisces, which is about ruling creativity and painting, I would say. So just be mindful of that. But like finishing little projects around the house would be good for this energy. Capricorn and Capricorn rising, so much happening with you. Mars is going to move into your sign, and you're going to be feeling energized, like you want to move forward with something. You're going to want to start something new. You're going to be feeling really driven. Mars is exalted in Capricorn. It really likes being there. The problem is we do have Mercury going retrograde this month, and it's not a time to start a new project. So you really are going to have to try to channel this energy into something else, whether it's working out, whether it's like, you know, doing something you've already started a while back and you never finished. This is the time that you are supposed to finish a project. It's not starting new projects. There's a lot of energy going to be in your 3rd house because Pisces is moving there, and that's a 3rd house of travel and education, communication, your neighborhood. I've been saying this for every sign. I do not recommend travel after Mercury goes retrograde. If you're going to do it before then. And this is more of a time that you can put into, you know, let's say if you're Capricorn rising, you have a business plan that you didn't finish. Maybe start working on the business plan again, because Mercury's in the 3rd house. Mercury does rule business and commerce, and the 3rd house is communication. You'll be able, I mean, maybe you'll have more creative ideas because it's in Pisces, so you'll be able to jot that down on paper. But it's not a good time to like start a whole new business plan. I wouldn't recommend that because you might end up changing things later with that energy. The full moon that is happening in your sign is it happens earlier in the month. It's going to be happening in Leo, and Leo rules your 8th house. So maybe there's going to be something coming to completion with like your partner's money, or some debt that gets paid off, or something like that, because the 8th house does rule like debts and money, other people's money. So maybe that's how that full moon will manifest for you. Aquarius and Aquarius rising. You have a lot going on in your subconscious area. You've been thinking a lot. You're getting ready to move into a new transformation in the next year or two. So Mars moving there is really going to, you know, make you more contemplative, make you think more deeply. You're already a very deep thinker. You're going to be thinking about how you're going to change your life over the next year or so, what changes you want to make. Some of you might be thinking about relationships heavily. The full moon happening in your opposite sign, Leo, happens. That full moon happens on February 8th. So you might be thinking more about partnerships. Maybe something happens in regards to a partner, or your marriage partner, or your business partner. There's some incident or something coming to completion involving those people. There's a lot of energy happening in your 2nd house of finances and income and how you make money. So you are going to be thinking about new ways to make money, but the problem is you don't want to start anything new during this time, because Mercury, I keep saying, it's retrograde, and Pisces is not the best place for Mercury to be. So I will say, if you do have new business ideas or new ways to make money, hold them until after this energy is over. I will talk about that next month, but it's not the perfect time for that. Venus will be in your 3rd house of friends and siblings. There might be a good time to enjoy time with your siblings. It might be a good time to travel. No, I would say, but no, it's not a great time to travel during this time. If you're traveling locally in your community, like driving around, meeting new people, yes, but just any new connections you make may not stick because of the retrograde energy. So just keep that in mind. And then Pisces and Pisces rising. This is a great time for you to really just get in touch with yourself. This is your season. It's a great time for healing. It's a great time for, you know, confronting your demons, confronting the things that you really want to change in your life. Mercury's retrograde, so it's not a new start, but it's more of like, if there's things that have been bothering you, it's a time to work on them and really go deep and really work on yourself, become the best version of yourself. There's energy happening in your 11th house. This, when Mars moves into Capricorn in your 11th, your changes might be brought on by a friend or someone encouraging you, or you going to a support group, or you meeting people and really being inspired by someone to make a change in your life. That might manifest that way. Venus is in your 2nd house, or moving to your 2nd house of income. So maybe you will have some blessings come through that way. But if there is a way, if you're trying to start something new regarding finances or making money, I wouldn't recommend that. I would just come up with creative ideas for how to make money and maybe write them down. And then you'll be able to, on the Aries new moon next month, really be able to implement that and see it through that way. So thank you for watching my video. I hope we all have a better February than we did January. I appreciate you all. Please remember to like, subscribe, and give a thumbs up to this video. This is the month of love. Remember, I have a Manifest Your Love Partner course available. I will link it below if you're interested in creating the love that you really deserve in your life. This is a great course for you. I'm gonna probably run a promotion for that this month, so I will link it below. And please leave video ideas, everything below in the comment sections, and I will see you next month. Thanks for watching.